Hi, good morning. I'm Tom Conkle, a cybersecurity engineer with Optic Cyber Solutions. Optic Cyber Solutions is a registered practitioner organization or an RPO within the CMMC ecosystem. As such, we help organizations improve their cybersecurity program, implement CMMC practices, and prepare for CMMC assessments. So I'd like to continue our series today on the maturity level 1 practices within CMMC. And with me, I have Paul Thompson again, cybersecurity engineer with Optic. So welcome, Paul.
Thanks, Tom. Good to be here.
Excellent. And today we're going to stay within the physical arena, if you will. We're going to talk about the Escort Visitors Practice. This specific practice states to escort visitors and monitor visitor activity. So, Paul, what does that mean to you?
So it seems pretty simple, right? So we want to make sure that folks who aren't authorized individuals, to access certain areas are escorted or and monitored, so watched at all times while they're in the facilities or on the grounds or whatever wherever they need to be monitored, and that could be using video cameras or actually other authorized individuals to actually physically escort people throughout the building wherever they are, and also training those folks could take training those folks to how to identify somebody who doesn't belong or should be escorted, and what the process is for then getting that person an escort or taking them back to reception or something like that. So those are really what the practice is talking about. It and again, it seems like a simple process, but there is some subtleties to making sure people know what they need to do and how to escort folks throughout the facilities.
Excellent. Yeah, and as you mentioned, as we've seen with a lot of these other practices, they do link together. So by saying that that they're not authorized people, so right, if they're not on the authorized physical access list, right, but they have a valid business purpose for being within the scope of the physical environment, right, that we want to make sure that they're escorted, identified as visitors for being in that area, so that we can, as you mentioned, help other people, if they are known or they've seen in there, others know, oh, we've got a visitor in here, right? Someone that's not typically here every day or authorized the full access to the CUI environment.
Yeah, it's about having those processes in place and then educating the folks who are authorized to identify and escort those folks who are not authorized.
Right. So like with many of the other practices, making sure that they're training, we have the training in place so that they aren't properly implemented across the board. I guess, have you seen any interesting implementations, or what do you consider for this one?
Well, just for the most part, again, knowing who is supposed to be authorized, this using a system of, whether it's visitor badges or stickers or, in making sure that there's a way to distinguish who is and who isn't supposed to be there easily, right? Because depending on the size of your business, if you're a small business, then it's a lot easier to identify somebody who doesn't work there, right? Because everybody in the building or in the office, versus a very large company with hundreds or thousands of people makes it a little bit more difficult. So again, having those systems in place, and again, that education, that training on telling people how to identify those folks that are visitors and what to do in those cases is really key.
Right. I think that's a good point, right? With large and small businesses, if there's typically only two authorized users and they know each other, they're familiar, we may have a different way of identifying visitors than we do large organizations. And again, as we talked about with some of the other practices, whenever the assessment team comes on site to assess you, right, they're authorized to be in your organization. They're authorized that physical access to help do the assessment, but they're still not authorized users of the system or authorized in the environment. So the assessors will be watching you, if you will, as they're doing the assessment, right, to make sure that you've identified them and they're being escorted while they're on site doing the assessment. So thank you, Paul. I appreciate you for joining us. Thanks for joining me today as we walk through the CMMC Maturity Level 1 practices. As always, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you'd like assistance in implementing the CMMC practices. We'd love to help you in your CMMC journey. So feel free to reach at info@opticcyber.com, and thanks for watching.